Hello, travelers! We sailed on the Disney Wonder out of the Port of Vancouver to Alaska with an itinerary that included visiting the Dawes Glacier and stops in Skagway, Juneau, and Ketchikan. If you are driving to the port, you can reserve a spot at Canada Place parking garage prior to arriving there. Finding the reserved spot, though, was a bit confusing because there wasn't a lot of signage. The experience was quite different than when you arrive at Port Canaveral. I also found the inside of Port Vancouver to be less organized than Port Canaveral. However, it all worked out and wasn't terrible. Once ready to board, everything went really smoothly. Leaving from downtown Vancouver was beautiful and the skyline was scenic. We sailed under the Lions Gate Bridge and north along the west coast. The scenery was amazing no matter where you were standing or sitting on the ship. There were blankets being handed out, or you could purchase a Disney-themed blanket at one of the shops on board. The mornings were chilly, but the afternoons warmed up. The French Quarter Lounge is the newly themed family lounge located on Deck 3. It's actually a great place to grab a Bloody Mary, a hot chocolate, and a beignet. The first full day is technically a sea day, but it actually feels like an excursion. A naturalist is on board and holds sessions where he presents and shares information so the guests can learn more about the glaciers. On the way to the glacier, it feels like you're on a whale watching excursion because there's whales everywhere. We saw so many whales as we headed towards the glacier, humpback whales who were spouting water and breaching the top. It was amazing. We were told we would either see the Sawyer Glacier or the Dawes Glacier because it depends on the passage visibility and accessibility. We passed through the fjords at the Endicott Arm in the inside passage, headed to see the Dawes Glacier. As you get closer to the glacier, you can start to feel the temperature drop. The color of the icebergs was the most beautiful blue. It was chilly, there was a light rain, and you definitely needed a jacket, and gloves wouldn't hurt either. We didn't book the excursion off the ship because we were fine with seeing the glacier from the ship. Staff on deck were serving tea, coffee, and hot chocolate, and the naturalist would narrate over the public address system. We chose this day to book our Palos brunch, and I would recommend this as it was very scenic and very peaceful. Dinner that night was themed around the glacier. Desserts were glacier themed, and so was the menu. The first port we stopped in was Skagway, Alaska. The mountains were a beautiful backdrop. It was an easy walk to get to the town on foot. Very accessible. Skagway's buildings are Gold Rush era buildings, and the history of this area has been preserved as part of the Klondike Gold Rush National Historic Park that Skagway is in. The next port was Juneau, Alaska. We took a shuttle to the downtown area. There were quite a few shops and restaurants, but it was busy. We chose to grab some food and then sit on a bench in the harbor. There's actually a very nice walkway in the harbor, and we chose to walk back to the ship from there. But sitting in the harbor, we could see people parasailing. There were some ships in port, and it was really nice and relaxing to sit in the harbor. The walk back was a bit of a hike, but not difficult. After getting back on the ship, we went and sat on the top deck. It felt a little chilly initially, but was fine with something over your legs. We read a book, napped, remembered to wear sunscreen. I ended up getting a little sunburn on my forehead. While eating dinner that night, there was a beautiful sunset that we could see through our stateroom TVs as well as out the dining room window. Entertainment was excellent, including the dueling piano show that had everyone participating. The next day ended up being a sea day because we weren't able to stop and catch a can due to a mechanical issue that left the ship traveling at a bit slower rate than planned. Our sea days included playing cards and playing bingo. On the last night of our cruise, we had a beverage seminar where we learned how to make mojitos. We had a great room steward who took care of us and kept our room nice and tidy, and also surprised us with a different towel animal every night. This was our first time to Alaska, and we feel like Disney Cruise Line was a great way to see Alaska. There was always something to do, whether in the port or on sea days. I really do recommend this itinerary. I have to say this was one of the most relaxing trips we have ever taken. So that's it for our Alaska trip. We look forward to sharing our next travel adventure with you. Bye for now.